Hello and welcome to this episode of Hampton Roads Business Live. My name is Rory Graham and I'm your host, and today I have the pleasure of having with me Dr. Erica Steele from the Holistic Family Practice. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Why don't you give us an overview of what is holistic? That's a term we hear a lot.
Yeah.
What is holistic family practice?
So holistic family practice is a practice that is very community-based, it's very supportive, and it's all centered around education, and it's all centered around natural healing. So I know that word is often overused. So we tend to work on body, mind, and spirit connection, and we retrain behavior, both physically, mentally, emotionally, as well as spiritually with our patients. So the technical kind of things that we do, we run laboratories, we detox patients in our practice, we give them supplementation, those sorts of things.
Okay, all right. So before we get into that, how did you get involved in that? That's not a common field.
Yeah, so as I was mentioning before the interview, I've always known I was supposed to be a doctor from an early age, and my parents are scholars. My mother was in medicine, and I grew up around that. So I grew up, running around labs with her and all those sorts of things. And unfortunately, she got ill and exposed me to all sorts of aspects of natural healthcare, natural healing, holistic healing, spiritual healing, healing that you couldn't touch, taste, feel. So here I have the duality. I have, laboratory proved, scientific, very masculine energy, and then combining that with very soft, feminine, can't see, really faith-based healing. So as I grew up and looked to become a doctor, because that's what I knew I was supposed to do, out of that came me becoming a naturopath. So.
Okay. We're going to talk in a second between holistic and is holistic health care, is that scientifically proven? And we're going to ask that in just a second. But you hear the difference in medicine. It just made me think what you just said is between the East and the West. Is that something like the Eastern philosophy is get the body to heal itself and things, and the Western is attack the symptoms and try to solve it?
You got it.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I had read that before. Okay, so let's get back to our question. Holistic medicine, is it a scientifically proven thing, or can it be scientifically proven? And
yeah, now we really have the technology.
Right.
Naturopaths, some of my predecessors, they unfortunately did not have the technology, and they did it all based off of, feeling, and naturally there was lots of connotations to that. But now we have the benefit of the Western laboratory sciences. So we can test blood, stool, serum, plasma, urine, and hair. We do it in our office as well as out of our office. And so we can create a benchmark. Then we can work with the patient with protocols and various different things, and then we can retest to be able to see. So, and scientific testing on more of a national scale is very expensive. However, we're seeing a trend, and a lot more money is being spent in understanding what natural health can do, and the different varying compounds of natural health.
Well, some of the natural health stuff, I understand, is even being taught in the medical schools now.
Slowly but surely, it's integrating.
Not fast enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
we're still scratching our heads.
So how is naturopathic medicine? How does that help people? Let's just kind of get an overview of that.
Exactly. So we're looking, as you mentioned, we believe that the body heals itself if given the right environment. So it's not like it just does it automatically. You have to provide that right environment. So our job is to find the cause of the disease or the imbalance, because we're not really chasing after diseases. We don't chase after symptoms. We don't diagnose and manage. And in fact, we believe that that's more of a distraction. We look at the balances, and we balance the body by decreasing the toxic load, things that shouldn't be in the body, and increasing the nutrition in the body, the things that should be in the body. And as we do that, we bring the body back into balance. We spend a lot of time with the digestive system, because majority of the immune system, hormonal system, as well as the neurological system is all housed in the gut. So we heal the gut, we intrinsically can heal those other systems, which are very vital. So
It sounds scientific.
it's very scientific, actually. But there's a lot of other stuff that's sprinkled in, a lot of other metaphysical stuff that scares people.
That scares people. I was going to say, that's what gets you in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So you're not suggesting, I would assume, that the people ditch their family doctor.
No.
Yeah,
We all serve a purpose
Right.
in life. If you break your leg, don't come to me. If you need a refill on your pharmaceuticals, don't come to me. And I actually work in tandem, with various allopathic doctors all over Hampton Roads, which I've been just so blessed and fortunate that they've been so open because I have so much of that scientific backing and background. So we work in conjunction with each other. You still want to do your yearlies with them to make sure that they catch any of the big stuff, but then naturally I'm looking at the preventable stuff, the things that we can reverse, and primarily chronic disease. I look at a lot of that in my practice.
All right. In your practice, you're using labs and everything as well, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So a lot of it is things that not only can they feel a difference or whatever, but a lot of times they'll be able to see difference
We
in
can
labs.
measure it.
So that would impress doctors too.
Oh yeah, for sure, exactly. They're like, oh, okay, we're not talking Ouija boards and astrological charts. We have a lab work, you know.
Right.
So.
Well, that brings me to insurance. Do you take insurance?
We don't. However, some of our labs, majority of our labs, we can third-party bill on those. But I just found, naturally, naturopathy, it's very difficult to bill for where they'll reimburse, but also with the changes in healthcare. I mean, realistically, most allopathic doctors are spending 7 minutes with patients. I spend 30. So that makes a big difference. You just can't really practice healthcare the way that you want to in a 7-minute, 15-minute session. You need that time to get to know your patient.
Okay, and so how does this, let's just talk about how the process works. Someone has a problem and they decide to give you a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so they call you up, what happens?
Yeah, so we offer them a choice. So they can choose between a 15-minute complimentary wellness exam, just to kind of dip their toe in, no commitment other than 15 minutes and a gas over. And, then we talk and I educate them further, but I get a good idea about where they are with their health. So that's one option that a person can choose. The other option is if they've researched to death, and I have people, actually, it's pretty phenomenal, that come in that have researched, that have even researched me and are really excited about it. And so they're really gung-ho and they're ready. So they book a 1-hour consultation, and then we go over, their medical history, their medical records. We go over their lab work, all of those different things. And that spans over 2 sessions. So they get the hour consultation and then a 45-minute review and a treatment plan. So yeah, it's pretty thorough.
All right. And is this something that, this isn't on my list here, but is this something that you work with a patient? Is this a certain number, a few sessions, and they see the improvement they're looking for, and they continue on themselves, or is this something where they have a lifetime of coming back to you?
Yeah. So I am always trying to help people, teach people, because doctor in Latin means teacher. My job is to teach a person so that they can fly. So average lifespan of a patient, they stay with me for about a year, typically, although I've had patients for years as well, and then I have patients that go away, they come back, whatever. And so in that year, we have a set process that we follow, because it's also a lot of unlearning the things that they have learned. Meaning that, I thought, this particular food was fine for me to eat. Well, no, and this is what, so there's a lot of that. Or I thought that this popular healthcare product that I've been using has been fine. Well, no. So it takes that time to kind of deprogram, if you will, the things that we have been taught.
That's a very interesting term.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're being real polite there. I know what you want to say.
Exactly.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so varying lengths of time,
Yes,
but it's not
yes.
something that once they start with you, they have to continue in order to see results.
No, I don't. There's no hostage-taking situations going on. If they want to stay a patient, they can stay. If they want to leave, they can leave. It's fine. And I will say this: it is a process. Healing is a process. So there are going to be times, there's going to be breakdowns, there's going to be breakthroughs, there's going to be emotion, there's going to be difficult experience, because there's so much fear attached to health. And so we're really sensitive to that. We really work with that. So a lot of times it's a little illogical in many cases. However, at the end of it, it's so beautiful because you get to see transformations in families, you get to see transformations in marriages, you get to see children getting well. I mean, it's just such a rewarding experience, really.
Okay, well, it certainly sounds like you're passionate about it.
Yeah, exactly.
We hear a term a lot nowadays called functional medicine. Can you give us an overview of what does that mean to you?
Yeah,
when
so
you hear that term, as far as how does it relate to you?
Yeah, well, I feel like it's a modern day naturopathic medicine, really. The only difference being that now they've added the lab components to it. And the one concern that I have with this is that, you know, we still don't want to use that same diagnose and manage model when we're applying to healthcare, okay, or even this form of healthcare. Because functional medicine is, in essence, is you run a lab on a patient, you treat, you use a protocol, and then you run a lab again, and then you assess. So, you know, it's got that science base, but then they're using naturally occurring substances and finding the causes of disease rather than addressing symptoms. So I'm a certified functional medicine practitioner in the area. It's a 2-year program, very extensive. We get a lot of that in our initial training, all the laboratory diagnostics, but then I really wanted to learn the labs more extensively and which labs to run and why and how and that sort of thing. The one concern I have is that once you once you get the results for the lab, sometimes the tendency is, okay, so now let's start taking like 45 supplements. And the body can't handle that amount. Even the mind can't handle that amount. I mean, you're taking all these pills all day, and yeah, they're natural and they're supplements, but still that's a lot. It's a lot for the body to process, and you can't supplement a poor diet. You also can't supplement.
You'll have a poor diet if you take all those pills.
Exactly. It's just, so I see the challenges, and I go, okay, this is great, and I'm so excited that everybody is getting on board with finding causes, but we still have to understand that we can't force the body to heal, that the body has to take time to heal, that, the grass doesn't strain to grow, the sun doesn't strain to come up. We also, as a naturopath, we look at nature to help guide us when we're healing. So it's a very organic process. So I definitely see myself as a pioneer in that, but more so than that, I see myself as really trying to keep things authentic and keep things balanced.
Okay, good answer. All right. So my last question here was, what kind of patients do you work with, and well, let's just start there. What kind of patients do you work with? And kind of give us an overview, because people might be looking at this and go, I don't know if I'm I have the kind of problem she deals with.
Yeah.
So is it people who are trying to lose weight, or is it people with serious disease? Or?
Yeah. So I have general practice. So I treat little kids with ADD, autism, all sort Asperger's, all that, neurological conditions.
Really difficult stuff.
Yes, all the way up to, cancers, but then everything else in between. So, I'm treating, patients that have diabetes, patients that have hypertension, patients that need to lose weight, patients that, have thyroid conditions, hormonal imbalances. So it's a wide array. Sadly, patients tend to not end up in my office until they've been to every doctor under the sun, and they're desperate. Or they've been reading online, and because they have a health challenge themselves, and they just haven't found anybody to help them, so they've kind of been their own doctor, and so then they come in with these binders worth of research, and they're, so then we kind of, okay, so I'm going to be in the driver's seat now, and you can be in the passenger seat, and we'll kind of go on the road together. So, and then very small percentage of my patients are prevention. They don't have anything going on, or very minor things going on, maybe a little gassing, bloating, whatever, fatigue, and they just want to reverse that, and they want to live long, healthy lives. So I also do transitionary care, so for elderly patients that are, transitioning to different aspects of their lives as well.
It sounds like you deal with everybody.
I do, really. It's a tall order.
This isn't on my list either, but do you have success with some of these things you mentioned, like
Yes.
autism and things like that? I mean, those are some serious things.
Yeah.
Is that's not something where you're curing it? I would assume that's
Well,
something where
yeah.
you can lessen the symptoms, or
Yeah.
or I don't mean to presume.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
maybe I was, but I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
just
we can't say that we cure anything anyway. Nobody cures anything. We just address the imbalances that are present. So, like, let's say if a person has autism, what we're going to do is we look at genetics. So I run a 23andMe panel on them. We look at the genetic variants, which are just the defects in the genetic code. And so then we can't change the genes, but we can support them. So imagine it's like the blueprint of your body, your genes, and you've got all these areas that are weak in the foundation. So we can actually put some splinting on those weak areas, and then we can build. Less than 30% relates to genetic predisposition. The rest of it's environmentally driven. So we address this variable with the genetics, and then we work on the environment. So like we would use a Feingold protocol with the food, or a FODMAP for food to take out the salicylates and various things. Then at a certain period of time, we would run a hormone testing. That's a urinary panel, so we could see all the neurotransmitters in the brain. We get the adrenal gland functioning, going the way it should be. But more importantly, we really work with the family unit, because these children are just so brilliant, okay? And so, and a lot of times the parents are overly stressed. So we...
Yeah, I would say that's
yes,
probably
exactly.
That's treating it kindly.
Yes, and they don't necessarily, these children don't fit into the stereotypical norm either of the school system. So then we're really kind of working with everybody so that we try to celebrate the child and celebrate their strengths and celebrate who they are. And because some of the tendency I've seen is that, autistic, because it's just so profound, that they're taken from place to place to place, doctor, 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 and sometimes they can create this idea like, what's wrong with me? What's going on? There's something wrong with me. I'm sick. I'm the bad one. And a lot of times, that's just a bad messaging and bad self-esteem that we're creating and cultivating for that child. So we really teach the parent how to be more of a conscious parent and working with children that are aware. It's definitely more of a partnership with parenting conscious children than it is a dictatorship that some of us, including myself, were raised with. So there's a lot to it.
Apparently. That's deeper than I thought you were going to go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Is there anything I haven't touched on that you wanted to mention while you're here?
No, I'm good. Thank you
good?
so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Well, if you're living, you probably have a reason to talk to Dr. Steele. She covered everything under the sun. I think that she can address and help you with in a holistic way. So you might want to try Holistic Family Practice. The contact information is at the end of the video, and it's also at the bottom of this page. And as you heard, it's a different approach, and it's one that you might want to have a consult to see if she could help you out. I thank you very much for coming in today, and I wish you a great deal of success.
Awesome.
Right,
Thank
thanks.
you.